Hello everyone, this is Kevin Prothero from Boomer's Workshop. This is my first video log for February 17th, 2020. I'm going to be going through a list of topics today, and it is my hope to do one of these video logs about every 2 weeks is what I'm hoping to commit to for the foreseeable future. If it happens more than that, that would be great if I have additional updates to share or just feel like making these. They won't always be topics on what I'm currently working on, but that's usually what they will consist of. So to start off with, the state of Stitchcraft right now, which is the game that I'm predominantly prioritizing. It is a two-player strategy card game for those who have not had the opportunity to check it out. There's a bunch of information on our website. The art assets are outdated, and I plan on updating those very soon as we do have finalized art for the game, which is very exciting. We are in the process of waiting on our prototypes to show up that we'll be sending to promoters. We have also identified the promoters we intend on using for this Kickstarter project, and we're very excited to start working with those people. The unfortunate issue that we are running into is we're about 3 weeks behind schedule as far as when we wanted to actually have the prototypes in our hands for us to be able to not only play test at cons, local game stores, things of that nature, but also to send to those promoters. At this point, the kind of delay for that is we're printing those via both drive-through cards as well as GameCrafter. And DTC, we were hoping for the faster turnaround, but unfortunately, we've had a lot of issues working with the way that they upload the files, even though we've reworked the file 2 or 3 times, following their templates pretty closely. The first mistake was on us. Subsequent files, I'm pretty confident, are not us. Things are just printing out very wrong as far as the bleed, and unfortunately that has delayed us for quite some time, which just kind of is the way that it is. We've been working on other projects because of that delay. I am very confident and very satisfied with how the art turned out. So kudos to Ryan and his wife who worked on those files and then delivered those to me to make the actual cards with. Ryan also has those in the digital version of the game. For those that did not realize, Stitchcraft was a collaboration of Ryan at ND Development as well as myself at Boomer's Workshop. And it has been made simultaneously a digital game as well as an analog card game. So we're very excited to be going through that Kickstarter here soon. The GameCrafter files prototypes should arrive, and I'm much more confident that those will be the correct size. We did a small order still with GameCrafter. We originally did not go with them because they have such a long turnaround, but now having done 3-4 different orders through drive-through cards, we're basically at more or less the same. We were able to notice with our drive-through cards initial order that the art was not high enough quality and that we needed to do something different with those. So that was successful in that end. And so now we're much more confident in this first order of GameCrafter files. If they turn out well, we'll be doing a much larger order. So we'll just basically send the first initial order to promoters now and then do a run of prototypes that we get to actually take to cons and have for ourselves. So that's kind of our plan with that. The project page itself, I'm working on revamping all of the art now that we have finalized card art. And once I'm done with that, I will update all of our website images, things of that nature, so that it will be consistent across multiple websites. And then once the project page is updated, I'm pretty excited we'll actually start being able to do some kind of marketing surrounding the project page itself, which will be live at that time. And then once we also have the prototypes, we'll be able to finalize contracts with the promoters and get those sent so we can start that 6-week countdown. And that will pretty much dictate when we will be able to go live with the project. At this point, I would say our goal for the project is mid-April and running it for 30 days. So we will be wrapping it up in mid-May. And then if we are successful, it will be printed over the summer, and hopefully by beginning to mid Q3, we will be able to have the product in backers' hands. So that's where we are with that. Sanctuary Saga, for those that are unaware of it, it is a cooperative card game that is heavily themed after JRPGs from the 90s, both in art as well as the tropes found prevalent throughout the game. It's been a lot of fun to create. It is definitely my love letter to the deck building community because that is my favorite genre of board game. It is currently pending dependent on the Stitchcraft Kickstarter success. If we are successful with this Kickstarter, we will likely turn right around once we're finalizing things with Stitchcraft and run a Sanctuary Saga Kickstarter. If Stitchcraft does not fund via Kickstarter, we'll be kind of looking at whether or not we can still self-publish Sanctuary Saga, or if we'll have to try and sell that to somebody else. At this point, the core set of Sanctuary Saga is complete and ready to go. It's a lot of fun. I really don't know that there's a whole lot more that playtesting will yield, but we are going to continue to do so to make sure that playtesters as well feel that it is balanced and fun. And then currently I'm working on polishing expansion 1. And from there, we'll be updating the art assets. Instead of just doing individual sprites, we'll be doing little scenes on each card, as well as updating the card style. And I'm much better, instead of using Publisher to make the cards, I have learned InDesign, as well as a couple other programs that make it much easier to get consistency across multiple cards, instead of doing a bunch of copying and pasting, and then when you have to do an update, you have to update 8 or 16 different copies of the card. So I'm learning how to actually make the art and the cards themselves significantly faster now than when I was originally working on this, a year and change ago. So future iterations happen much faster with playtesting. I'm also learning some basics of pixel art making myself. And so I'll be able to do some of the assets myself instead of having to pay or wait for my artists to create those. The thing that's been occupying the majority of my time as we've been waiting for Stitchcraft prototypes is the unannounced JRPG that I've been making on RPG Maker. The core system of the game is definitely complete, playable, and is, I think, a lot of fun as far as the battle system is concerned. See my Twitter link below for updates on that and what it looks like, and just mini videos on the production of that. It's been a lot of fun for me to make, as well as a lot of work. The system work was not enjoyable, but at this point, mercifully, is basically done. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I am currently working on balancing enemies with heroes, which is a lot of work in the skills and stats of both the heroes as well as the enemies. We have over 30 unique enemies at this point, not including bosses. And so that is just a lot to test. And so I've been going through that and working on the polish and making sure that the core battle system gameplay, which is where the players will likely spend the majority of their time, is enjoyable and a positive user experience. I'm also working on story writing and actually scripting some of the cutscenes at this point, and so that hopefully that'll be engaging for the player and give them a reason to keep playing to find out what happens with these characters, as well as designing maps that players will actually take the characters through, and just getting a good idea of what that looks like. So that's where we are regarding our different projects here at Boomer's Workshop. At this point, I plan on plugging just some products that I've been using, that I've had a really positive experience with, as well as a wrap up with the games that I'm currently playing, both board game and video games, since more or less at this point I develop for all gamers that I can. So the product that I'm going to plug is Peacekeeper. I just got this from my family for my birthday. They come in packs of 6, and you actually fold these little hooks into the grooves, which creates a tray. Just used these with our Gloomhaven session over the weekend, and they went very, very well. They also fold down so that you can put them in the box that you are using them with, so I highly recommend those. I'm not sponsored, just sharing some knowledge. And then games that I'm currently playing, Darkest Dungeon to get a lot of inspiration. My JRPG is basically a Darkest Dungeon clone, with some implementations that are my own, and then pulling some things that I like from other games. So Forever and Always Darkest Dungeon, I'm on my 3rd playthrough. I've done the first 2 difficulties successfully, and now I'm doing the hardest difficulty right now. Just got Wolcen over the weekend, had a rough start trying to get connected to the multiplayer servers, but my buddy Paul and I I got to play that for a while yesterday and really enjoyed that. If you're a fan of Diablo or the ARPG genre, really recommend giving it a look, particularly now that you can play online with your friends. And then as far as board games, have a Gloomhaven group. This is my second Gloomhaven group where I don't know, I think we just finished our sixth or seventh dungeon, might have been the eighth. So, we're getting along. We've got a few levels under our belt, and our group, the rest of the group, this is the first time that they've played it. They've been really enjoying it. I've been much further than this. I think the first group that I played with got about halfway through the game. So, really enjoying that. And then I backed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Changes Constant Kickstarter from IDW Games, and their cooperative cooperative versus the AI mode is a lot of fun. Really enjoying that. I'm looking forward to playing that some more this weekend with my buddy Tyler, as well as I've been playing Stuff Fables. So a lot of dudes on boards dungeon crawling in my board gaming recently, which is a little break from the tradition for me, but I still really enjoy it. My nieces, nephews, and I have been playing through Stuff Fables, as well as my wife and I when we do our playtime together. And so that is a lot of fun if you have kids. I would probably recommend waiting until they're 7 or 8. But as soon as they're 8 and above, even into adults, I think Stuff Fables is a really fun way of exploring fighting and good versus evil, and some generating some just really positive conversations about conflict and how to handle conflict well. There are talking points at the end of each of the scenarios, which are really interesting and I think a fascinating addition to talk about just some really big life things, like what is love? What does love mean? Things along those lines. So also really recommend that. So I think at this point that pretty much wraps up my first virtual log. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel to see more of these in the future, and hopefully we can continue to make these better and give you a state of not only where Boomer's Workshop is, but also what I'm up to as a designer. So with that, I will sign off, and I will catch you all here in a couple weeks. Bye.